Just answering questions with waptek on this channel. Here we go. Oh, and on this channel, please don't get mad at anybody in the comment section. Most of the time it's not needed or useful and doesn't really accomplish anything. And second thing is, a lot of people do things to cause that reaction. It's called trolling, and it's not really helpful. However, I understand it, and sometimes I have to delete a comment because it really goes over the top, but we'll see what happens. Here we go. What caused your interest in the unsolved Delphi murder case in the first place? It was an occurrence that happened. I looked into it. People were saying it seems mysterious a long time ago. When the information firm, well, a long time ago by my scale, it's been more than 6 months, therefore it's a long time ago. And my my only interest in it was the fact that the only information provided to the public was heavily edited and cropped and made it really impossible for it to be useful, which I found very difficult to put up with. It just seemed like an odd or borderline stupid thing to do, when wouldn't it be just easier to release all the data? But the reason recently, and this isn't something to gain views on the channel, the reason I did it is someone just simply requested that I cover it again. There wasn't any new real updates to it. That's all. What did happen is a couple of YouTube channels started to enhance images and try to make something happen that isn't real, making a picture. Oh, it's much more clear. It's obviously whoever I don't like. I'm surprised they're not trying to insert Obama here. How do you pay for food? Do you dumpster dive? Do you work odd jobs for meals? It's not even easy living the way you do without money. I have a relative that gives me a stipend every month. That's what it's called, a stipend. It's enough that I don't starve. There's just a little extra left over. It's not mad money. It's real purpose money, like in the case of what's right to me, to my right less than 3 feet away, getting tent poles, for instance, when they break, that sort of thing. So that's actually where the money goes and what it's all about. And in the past, I've actually just worked jobs. I don't call them odd jobs. I call it being a independent consultant. I used to do that for a living as a computer technician, so I'm used to working jobs. I used to, when I first got to Portland, before I actually got myself kind of established here, I worked for day labor companies, just, like anybody else, a temp worker kind of thing. And it was good because you could pick your hours almost. And then they started becoming more corporate based, and they would just sort of blacklist you if you didn't say yes to every single horrible job. And they stopped being useful. At one time, it's not a golden era, there's no such thing as a golden time, but in Portland you could literally make a living by having cheap rent right across the street is where I used to live. Not a joke here. And just do day labor or do any job. And you get a lot of job experience and get some experience and actually get to where you can do things. I got recommendations from people and they'd have me come back. Eventually I got a real, full-time job that way. I wasn't a temp worker anymore. They had me on permanently. And then I changed from that job to being a computer technician. And not just an independent consultant. I was working at a shop. And then eventually I ended up owning it because they owed me my pay. So they just said, here's all the paperwork, you own it. You get to make it go out of business. And what I did was I dissolved the company after a period of time and tried to pay off every bill I could as the owner or running person running the company. And that's all I could do. Then I got a job doing something else and something else and something else. And rents got too expensive. But I have a relative who's willing to help me every month, and there's some specific details I'm not going to give out about it. The rest of the time, I get hired, once every 2 months to do a $500 computer work activity and get some money that way. I can get away with living off of very little, but it makes it nearly deadly not to have enough money to eat. Next one. I guess I'm kind of lucky because I have a huge family, and anywhere I would move, I would be close to someone. I don't really have special attachment to anywhere I grew up because it was cold and I despised it. I grew up in an area that was bad for my lungs and I despised it. But it was warmer and horribly cold during the winter, so I like the moderate weather here. Then she goes on to describe the place sounds like heaven. I want to move from where I am, but I'm trying to figure out where would be the best weather. And then this person goes on to talk about dealing with hurricanes possibly happening, and then asks a really simple, really serious question. I need to find a place to live that has the lowest likelihood of having some natural disaster. And what you can do is you can look at, and also an interesting thing about a hurricane hitting the area, someone escaping from the prison and regretting it and asking to go back to prison because literally they didn't get caught by the police, they got caught by the hurricane, and they're like, that's it, I want indoors, I don't care anymore. So yeah. So anyway, but the other one is, where in the United States, I'm not doing all of North America or Central America or South America, where in the United States do you have the least number of natural disasters? Now, there was a disaster statistics chart. Now, the reason you can't find it anymore is it's based on insurance policies being cashed in. Everywhere a disaster happens, insurance companies make the rates change for the area because you're in Tornado Alley, or you're in the Hurricane Alley, or you're in the earthquake area, or you have wildfires every year, or whatever, or just high crime rate. But the people who sell land don't want that information out there. And you used to be able to get the information because people would publish this stuff. And then someone figured out, hey, we can lawsuit them into not doing it anymore. So I'll try to make a video on what places are the best for you to live in, depending on what your poison is. But I do like the fact that this person brought up all this sort of stuff, and it was a really nice thing. And she mentions, I'd like to move where I have more relatives. Now, in my family, we have a small number of brothers and sisters. I mean, it's a relatively big family by many people's standards, but they're spread out, and some have died, and strained relations at one time, and then, honestly, only a few of us actually were successful. I was one of the successful ones for a while. And then everything went to hell. So the disaster also would include, and this is the point I'm going to make at the end of the video here, is I'll be making a map of areas that have experienced up and down economies. Don't live in Vegas. Stuff like that. I'll try to work on that one later. It may be on this channel or another one, but I'll definitely put it up because it'll be, where are you safest to retire to at 25? Because you can make your life as easy as working retirement rate, which is working 6 hours a day max, maybe 4. Not kidding. When people retire in the United States, they get a job. We do. In fact, it is based on you never actually stopping working until you're literally medically so screwed up you can't do it, or you're really rich and you don't have to work anymore. We don't have a real retirement society or anything anymore, but we have an incredibly ballooning boomer, way too old to work society. And the things that kill people in their 60s and 70s are heart attacks and, brain damage from having blood clots in the brain, a stroke. So it's sort of like, where do you live where, no nuke will go off? There used to be an anti-nuke map. Another one, which is, if you're in an area that's ever had a flood, don't live in that area, live above it. You just have to be 10 feet above the max flood line. You look for the 100-year flood, because you're not going to live 100 years. And you stay above it, no matter what. And don't be on an area that's ever had a wildfire, stuff like that. But the other one is, it's sort of like being a prepper. I'm on a bike all the time. I have low blood pressure. My blood pressure doesn't match the way it's supposed to. And I wolf food down. I have a digestive tract problem. That has to be treated. First has to be diagnosed accurately, not let's try shit. I'm not doing Western United States medicine. I'm going to be doing Canadian Western medicine, as in, let's find out what's really wrong with me and fix it. And if it requires surgery, immediately do it. It's like with my teeth. I have teeth in the front of my mouth that are broken, right at the gum line. Is this going to last more than 5 years, preferably 10, if you repair it today, and I give you all the money to do it the way that would work? Would it last more than 5 years? Well, no, there's no well. As soon as you start deflecting, will it last? No. Then remove it and pack the jaw with calcium so I can't get an infection and the jaw will heal. No. There is no or well. And no, I'm not doing the insurance company route where they decide what happens to me instead of the doctor or me. You're going to do what will last more than 5 years. And now I'm going to get to the last point. This is a prepper statement. It has nothing to do with any of this stuff here. It has to do with being homeless. a couple of my friends came to this conclusion. Everybody should spend a couple of years, preferably just one or maybe 1 year, maybe two, preferably in college, working odd jobs so you figure out what you're good at, what you're not good at, and what you'd like to do, even if you're not good at it, and what you're really good at, even if you don't like it. And next thing, don't get high blood pressure. Don't get recurring staph infections like I did. Don't get pieces of you blown off or broken off or hit by a truck like I did. Don't be me. And spend your entire life building towards one thing, retiring as early as possible. Retiring is still going to mean you're working. It just means you don't have to struggle to maintain. This society and this culture is designed to keep us from ever feeling comfortable. If I was legally permitted to build a building, I would live in a building that's any size I want. There is no restriction on it. Oh yes, there is. We can make rules about that. We can make you pay for a contractor to do it. And we can make you pay for permission. And if you're in Britain, you do not have any freedom in that country to simply put up a shed and live in it. Oh, well, we have council rules, and everybody on your council in your area should be terrified of you being upset with them if you're in Britain. That's why every video you see of British people having road rage is them having a hissy fit. That's why everybody looks at libtards on Tumblr and sees a hissy fit. These people are slowly, meticulously annoyed into a corner. My blood pressure is lower than it was when I was doing a high-pressure job because I don't have a place to go to. I literally make myself do something. I'm a workaholic. But I'm not going to die from a fucking heart attack or from a stroke. I have a friend who had a stroke recently. He had it at the corpus callosum in his brain. In my case, it wouldn't do a damn thing because mine's nearly destroyed. Look up what that has an effect of. And he's going to be fine, eventually. My main problems medically are my teeth. I live in a society where getting things preventatively maintained is more expensive than dropping dead. That's backwards. And yet I have a higher likelihood of outliving almost every one of you watching me because I was forced out of the system. I don't want to be back in it either, but I'm going to have to dip my toe in it in order to get a hunk of dirt. So that's my predicament. So as for the rest of the questions for the day, they're on another channel, and there's only one question, so I'll be doing that next. So thank you for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. Hope you didn't mind my rant too much. But for your first question, I do make money once in a while. But honestly, these days, I just buy the cheapest food possible and buy clothing used and maintain what I've got. I learned how to do pretty much all of it. And if I don't have the ability to do it, I'll make it happen. Yes, I can make a bicycle if I have to, or straighten that one out if it gets banged up again. Sorry, but it's been an interesting day. I'll have a video on another channel about other things. Thanks. Bye.